there were always questions of whether Trump will be able to contest or not. We really thought up until now that there was nothing stopping him, especially considering how other candidates in the Republican Party have been faring. Trump still had a very good chance, but looks like now he's just been ruled out.
Yes, I think the Colorado Supreme Court has held that Trump cannot be on the primary ballot for the Republican nomination in Colorado under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which basically says that any US official who has taken an oath to the Constitution but engages in insurrection or rebellion will be ineligible to stand. Now, the question is, because the court has also suspended the operation of its judgment till January 4th, giving Trump time to appeal to the Supreme Court, and this is certainly likely to go to the Supreme Court for a judgment. Many other similar challenges have been there, but a lower court in Colorado earlier had held that the president was guilty of inciting insurrection and rebellion, the former president, but that the president himself or herself was not covered under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. It did not apply to the president. So these legal questions, I suppose, will be examined and addressed if and when Trump goes in appeal to the Supreme Court. Now, this ruling debars Trump from being on the ballot in Colorado, including the Republican primary ballot. But if Trump's appeal to the Supreme Court, which he has said he will be lodging, is admitted before January 4th, then the operation of this judgment is in suspension. It will be withheld till the Supreme Court takes a view. If, of course, the appeal is not accepted before 4th January, then the judgment will come into operation and Trump will not be able to get onto the ballot of Colorado. But other states, the Colorado writ will not apply in other states. So he will be free to actually contest in the other states unless there is a specific ruling by the Supreme Court of that state or a court in any state, or the Supreme Court of the United States rules that he is ineligible under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Now, this section was adopted in the wake of the 14th Amendment itself, and this section was adopted in the wake of the US Civil War in 1866. And it was essentially designed to prevent former Confederate supporters who had participated on the secessionist side in the Civil War from actually running for office, government office in the United States. So it's a clause which has been used very rarely in recent times, and certainly for a potential presidential candidate, it's something which would be a first.
Right. Robinder Sachdeva, if I were to ask you as a foreign affairs expert, is it all over for Trump? Do you see other states also ruling just like the state of Colorado?
No, it's never all over for Trump. Firstly,
can never count him out, can you?
No, absolutely not. In fact, he monetizes this. See, each time, there is a legal case, a court hearing against him and all, his campaign goes out, runs email marketing campaigns and all, and raises funds, playing the victim card. So each such episode actually drives up his campaign money. His collections. That's one. Secondly, he'll continue to fight. But the point which you said, yes, what this has potential is that you see the US, as Ambassador was very well explaining, the US electoral system is different for each state. That is, each state has its own laws as to how it runs or conducts its own elections, right? Now, there have been already earlier some cases. I think there was a case in Minnesota recently on the same plea, that insurrection, promoted by Trump, and therefore he should, under Section 3, not be eligible to get on the ballot. That was turned down, I think. But what this case will do is that, other than how this case proceeds, it will inspire and encourage more cases against him in other states also. There are some cases already ongoing. It will give them more momentum that, look here, Colorado upheld it. So that's the bigger problem for him, I think. That's one. Second, this case, it goes to the Supreme Court. There are some, twists in the tails. Now, the Colorado Supreme Court has given him till January 4th. But what the State Department of Colorado, which is in charge of conducting the elections of the primaries also, they're saying that they need to have the ballot printed by January 5. So will it be last minute and they'll say, okay, we cannot put Trump on the ballot still because it's still open, or Trump would be able to appeal in the Supreme Court? Then how long does Supreme Court take? The primary elections in Colorado, I think, are on the 4th of March or so. Will the case be disposed by then? No. If the case is ongoing, then okay, he will be there on the primary ticket and he will win the primaries probably. Long term, a theoretical scenario, it won't happen. But let's say, Colorado has, whoever wins Colorado amongst Democrat, Biden and Trump, let's say, will get 10 electors, right? And for the presidency, you have to gather 270 electors. So if in a very, theoretical scenario, hypothesis, that Trump cannot be on the ballot in Colorado and he's still contestant, then it means that he will not be able to, gather or contest. In any case, he's losing. Colorado is always Democrats, but those 10 electors cannot be, he won't have those 10 electors or the possibility of those 10 electors. So the problem, therefore, is not only this, the other states where these cases will start to be filed or moved ahead more.
Okay, the only question I have to ask Ambassador MEERA Shankar at this stage is that how do you see this in terms of law in the US? Are you seeing this particular ruling from the Colorado court setting a precedent for Donald Trump in other states as well?
It will probably play out along political partisan lines. It's possible that states which are governed by Democrats and where there is a Democratic-dominated court, with judges appointed by the Democrats, could take a similar view. But even if you see the way the responses from both the parties have lined up, the Republicans have broadly come out in support of Trump. Vivek Ramaswamy has said he will himself withdraw from the ballot if Trump is not reinstated. And he's called on his other contenders of the Republicans to do the same. Ron DeSantis has also criticized it, so has Chris Christie.
Okay.
There are other Republicans who have criticized it. And then if you look at the Democrats, they have supported it and said there has to be accountability for what Trump did on January 6th, so that it doesn't happen again. So it's, the response has been broadly on partisan lines.
Okay.
But if more courts in the states start giving similar judgments, especially the Democratic nominated courts, then I do hope that the Republican Party itself may pause to think about Trump's winnability and how this is going to impact middle of the road and independent mainstream voters whose support will be essential to swing the presidential election. As of now, they don't show any signs of reconsidering.
News9 Plus. Download now.